Okay, so what we're going to be creating now is a clock, because we don't have a clock for our house, and how else is our family going to tell time when they move into their new house? So let's go ahead and create a clock. Let me show you the kind of clock we're going to be creating. Now, clocks are almost like an art. You can find all kinds of different clocks all over the world of different shapes and sizes and colors and things. So I settled on a couple of choices here. And I found this image online of a very interesting looking clock. It's this sort of glass base for the clock, and then the clock is sort of in the middle. It looks kind of elegant, looks a little fancy, and it looks pretty neat. So I want to go ahead and create this kind of a clock here for our scene. So as you can see, it's not too simple and it's not too complicated, but it is going to take a good amount of effort to create. So let's go ahead and get to work here. Alright, so I'm going to start off by roughing out the volume of the base of the clock here. And then later on I'll start to focus more and narrow down on this area here, which is obviously the most detailed part of the clock. So let me go to my perspective view here. Now I don't have any, front, side, back images and stuff like that. So I'm just going to have to use this image here to go ahead and model this out. And a good experienced modeler can take an image like this, just one of them, and go ahead and model something out without too much of a problem, and you can improvise when you have to. So let me go ahead and start off with a box, and I'm going to go ahead and start off by creating maybe the bottom base of this, which is going to be something like this. Okay, so in terms of dimensions, I kind of like that actually. It looks pretty good. Let me reduce the height a little bit, like so, to match more of the image. Okay. And actually, let me bring it up just a little bit. I'm a really picky person. I'm going to go to convert and convert that to an editable poly. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this top polygon up here, and I'm going to go ahead and let me see what I'm going to do with this one. I should probably just chamfer the edges here before I continue on. So let me go ahead and do that. Let me take this edge here, and actually I'll just take the polygon, then control click the edge mode there to select all the edges. I'm going to chamfer this, and I'm going to chamfer it about maybe this much looks good. One segment. Hit OK. Alright, that looks fine. So the little base right there on the bottom is done. Now we need to create these parts up here. So let's see how we're going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and take this polygon that's in the middle here. I'm going to hold down Shift and scale this down. And I'm going to make this into a new object. So I'm going to take it and change its color to maybe like a light blue, something like that. I'm going to take that polygon that's in there, and I know that I have to scale this polygon down. So I'll scale it down about this much. It seems like it's fine, like this. Okay. I'm going to take this polygon here, and I'm going to extrude it upward to about something like this. Looks good right here. I think that looks fine. In terms of the thickness, I think this has to be pretty thick, to be honest with you. So let me see if I go ahead and take the entire polygon element here and just kind of make that a little bit thicker like this. Okay. And I'm going to take this polygon at the end and the other polygon on the other end. I'm going to use the extrude options. I'm going to extrude by local normal, and I'm going to extrude about, let me see, I want to extrude about this much. I'm basically trying to get the little width here. If I zoom into the image, there's a little bit of width right there. That's what I'm trying to get right now. So I'll extrude about this much. Looks pretty good. And I'll hit OK. Now I'm going to select the polygons on the front and the backs of those areas I just created. I'm going to use the extrude tool options again by local normal, and I'm going to extrude out about maybe this much. Looks good. So let me see that. Yeah, about that much looks pretty good. So I'll hit OK. Alright, so with that done right there, what I'm probably going to do now is we'll probably take these edges that are right here, And you can see right here I selected the wrong edge. Okay, so if these edges selected, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to chamfer those with one segment, something like this, so it looks more like the picture. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Print that out. That's what we have so far. So far, so good. Now let's look at this. We have to do the top. Now the top looks like it's identical to the bottom base right there, so I'm not going to bother modeling the top. Instead, what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to use the geometry I've already created to do this quickly and easily. Alright, let me go to the front view here. I'm going to turn on the window crossing option up there. Go to polygon mode and turn off ignore back facing. I'm going to select all the top and bottom polygons, and if I go back to perspective mode, you can see what I have selected. Okay, all these top and bottom polygons we don't need, so I'm going to delete them. Now the pivot point is not where I want it to be, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here, take the pivot point and center it to the object for this top piece right here, the blue one. And I'm going to take this blue piece here, I'm going to go to attach, and I'm going to attach the green piece on the bottom to it. And now what I can do is simply drop a symmetry modifier on this, symmetrize this in the z-axis and flip it, and there we go. Now we get the base on the top and the bottom there, which looks really good. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and collapse my modifier stack. It's an editable poly, always make sure of that. Alright, so everything looks good. Okay, so I've got the rough geometry blocked out for this thing. The next thing to do is to basically create the actual clock piece here that tells time. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that in the next video.